Ivy and Bean get to work. The first problem. How divine! The next day before school started, news was passed from kid to kid. I found a hoard, whispered Deucet. No way, gasped Bean. Way, Deucet said. People, called Miss Arubitate, are you ready to learn? Yes, yelled the second graders. A hoard of coins? Hissed Bean. Deucet shook his head. Cans. But you can trade them in for money, so it's like finding coins. People, said Miss Arubitate, you don't need to be talking right now. You need to be working on your daily math. Okay. Bean tried to concentrate, but all of Carlos's bike seat problems could have been solved by a little treasure hunting. Emma leaned over her table. I didn't find any treasure. I found a little motorcycle I lost when I was 5, though. Kids, said Miss Arubitate. I don't know why I'm hearing whispers. Everyone looked down at their papers and tried to think about math. Bean frowned at her paper. Carlos. Bicycle seat. Dog. Okay. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus... Then Eric lost it. I found gold, he yelled. Golden treasure. That was when Miss Arubitate decided to make her classroom a treasure-free zone. So the second graders had to wait until lunch to talk about treasure. They gathered under the climbing structure. Margalie held out 3 quarters, a nickel, and 4 pennies. They were right where I thought they'd be, between the curb and the sidewalk. Money always falls out of my dad's pocket when he gets out of the car. Ivy and Bean looked at each other. Why hadn't they thought of digging between the sidewalk and the curb? Vanessa had found a plate with a beautiful picture on it. It was going to be worth a lot once she glued it back together. It's sold. My mom says it's an antique. Ivy and Bean looked at each other. Why hadn't they found an antique? Eric's gold wasn't just plain gold. It was a gold box with a mirror in it. He'd found it in his grandma's backyard. He said that his grandma's backyard was packed with treasure just lying on the ground. You don't even have to dig to get rich. Bean and Ivy looked at each other. Why didn't their grandmas have yards like that? Leo hadn't had much time to treasure hunt because of soccer practice. But even so, he had found a silver earring next to the soccer field. What did you guys find? He asked, turning to Ivy and Bean. Nothing, said Bean. Yet, said Ivy. It was embarrassing to admit it. It was even more embarrassing when Leo said, You'll probably find something soon. He was being nice. That meant he felt sorry for them. They had to find some treasure ASAP. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, Ivy and Bean had dug 14 holes in Ivy's backyard, 3 in front and 1 between the sidewalk and the curb. And this is what they had found. Half a red plastic comb. They were discouraged. They were so discouraged that they stopped digging and sat on the curb. We need a metal detector, said Bean gloomily. Ivy nodded. It's not fair. If we find a treasure, we'll have $162 to buy a metal detector. But if we don't have a metal detector, we can't find any treasure in the first place. You think a vacuum cleaner would work? Suggested Bean. Ivy shook her head. No, that just sucks stuff up. We need something that will tell us where things are buried, like... Wait a second! She slapped herself on the forehead. A divining rod! A what? Said Bean. A divining rod! It's a magic stick that helps you find things, Ivy said excitedly. You hold it in front of you and walk around, and it boings up and down when it finds things. Important things like water and gold, not dumb things like combs. This sounded a little too good to be true. Where do you buy one? Bean asked. You can't buy one. They're special sticks shaped like a Y. You're supposed to find them in the forest by the light of the moon. Bean made a face. Is your mom going to let you go out in the forest by the light of the moon? Probably not, Ivy admitted. Then let's go look in Monkey Park Forest by the light of the sun. Maybe it won't be perfect, but we don't have time for perfect. The Monkey Park Forest wasn't exactly a real forest. It was more like a bunch of trees planted around the youth center. But it looked a little like a forest, and besides, it was fun walking among the trees, finding sticks. It was way more fun than not finding treasure. They found a lot of eye-shaped sticks. Bean found a C-shaped stick, and Ivy found a J-shaped stick. "What about this one?" asked Bean, holding one up. "That looks like a Z that got run over," said Ivy. "What about this?" Bean shook her head. "Keep looking." "This one is sort of Y-shaped," said Ivy hopefully. But Bean shook her head again. "Here's a perfect Y." Ivy held up a stick that would have been a perfect Y if one of its arms wasn't missing. "Almost." "Look," said Bean, "let's make it a perfect Y with another stick and some duct tape." Ivy looked at her almost Y. "It's the shape that makes it magic. Nobody ever said that finding a stick exactly that shape was important." "Grown-ups say handmade presents are better. Maybe it's the same with magic," said Bean. She grabbed a plain old stick off the ground. It could be the other arm. Besides, beggars can't be choosers, and we are treasure beggars. Treasure beggars. The next morning before school, Ivy showed Bean her divining rod. She had attached the extra arm with plenty of duct tape. Then she had put some fancy gold tape on top of the duct tape to make it look good. After that, she had put star stickers all over the divining rod to make it look even better. And to top it all off, she had used her secret magic book to cast a spell on it. "What kind of a spell?" asked Bean, touching the beautiful divining rod. It looked like magic, that was for sure. "A spell to find a lost horse. It was the closest I could get." "A horse isn't treasure," said Bean. "If you're someone who needs a horse, it is," said Ivy. "Let's say your car is broken and you have to take your grandma to the hospital. A horse would be the best treasure ever." "Okay, but I don't need to take my grandma to the hospital," said Bean. "I want gold or jewels or a hoard like everyone else." Ivy got a dreamy look on her face. "And let's say you're about to meet the queen and your hair is all tangled, then half a plastic comb would be a treasure." "I don't want a comb," yelped Bean. "I want treasure." "Okay." Ivy stopped looking dreamy. "Don't worry. Now that we have a divining rod, we'll find the treasure." But Bean couldn't help worrying. "We'd better. We have a lot of catching up to do." By the end of the day, they had even more catching up to do because everyone else had found treasure galore. Eric had gone back to his grandma's house. This time he'd found silver. Margalie was 6 quarters and 4 dimes richer. She was so rich, she didn't even bother to pick pennies up anymore. Emma had found another one of her old toys. Vanessa was busy gluing her antique plate together. Deucet had 23 new cans to add to his hoard. Leo had found a necklace under the sofa. It turned out to be his mom's, but then she gave him 50 cents for finding it, so it was the same as finding money, he said. Ivy and Bean exchanged glances. They had found nothing. They were terrible treasure hunters. Worst of all, the other kids decided to have a treasure show at lunch the next day. Everyone was going to bring what they had found and put it out on a table, just like Herman. Leo turned to Bean. "Did you find anything yesterday?" he asked nicely. "No," Bean said. She was grumpy. She hated being bad at things. "But you'd better leave a big space on that table for us, because today we're breaking out our secret weapon." "It's not a weapon," said Ivy. "It's a divining rod." "Don't tell him," said Bean. "He'll want it." "I don't want it, whatever it is," said Leo, less nicely. "I'm finding lots of treasure all by myself." "You think you're finding lots of treasure," said Bean. She was getting grumpier by the minute. Compared to what we'll have by tomorrow, your treasure is going to look like a pile of dust. Bean, said Ivy, it probably won't look like a pile of dust. Your treasure doesn't even look like a pile of dust, said Leo. It looks like 0. You'll see, Bean snapped. We won't even be able to carry it all. We'll have to get a donkey to carry it for us. We probably won't need a donkey, said Ivy nervously. You're a donkey, said Leo. No, you're a donkey, yelled Bean. She stomped away.